Hello, everyone. I'm Sindhura Ravela. I will be doing the training on AnyAUT Certified Developer. So, the main focus of this training is to provide you a real time hands on experience on Selenium development. So, this certification will take you into the coding of details of the of AnyAUT, what we have done, so that way you will have hands-on understanding of what the frameworks are, how to approach, and how you would be able to code further. So today's agenda is we will be talking about what is a framework, what are the different types of framework we have, and also we will be looking at a high level into AnyAUT framework as well. So, what is a framework? So, Selenium framework is basically a code structure that helps you to maintain the code easily. Um, so, what it is trying to do is a framework is trying to give us a proper structure so that when we are trying to build our automation scripts.
Uh, I'm sorry to interrupt, Sindhura, but I cannot see your screen. So can you share your screen, please?
Yeah, I had started sharing the screen actually.
Or maybe it's on pause. You just need to play it.
It is in playing mode, Ashna.
All right, but we are unable to share your screen.
Hold on.
See your screen. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I can't. Karthik, can you change me into the presenter? Looks like I am not having that privilege or something. Let me try once again. Yeah, now I can do it. Sorry. Yeah, got it. Okay. Ashna, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, we can see the screen. Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
So going back to what we were talking about, so this framework gives us easy to use as well as reusable code. So we would be able to. So if we use one of the frameworks of Selenium, we would be able to reuse the code, reuse data, reuse elements. So all of this we can do a lot of things. And it has higher portability, and the maintenance on the script is also very little because we are reusing so many components of the framework that the code will be, you don't have to write tons of code. So the maintenance on the code will be also low and easy to understand, higher code readability, so it is easy to understand what we are doing as well. So the first framework that I'm going to walk you through is a data-driven framework. So before we go here, I want to touch a little bit on the AnyAUT web application, so that maybe you can try to relate to what we are doing in AnyAUT. So let me take you there. So I hope you all know about AnyAUT web application. Is there anyone who does not know what this is? Sunita, this is not 5 hour Selenium training. This is AACD training. Okay, looks like a lot of you are from. Is it still echoing? Lavina, explain about what. Can you please let me know? Is it about any odd web application? Okay, okay. Yeah, I'll give you a brief idea. So this is basically because we are going to dive deep into the into this engine part, which is more important. So AnyAUT has two parts to it. One is the web application, which is the test management tool. So when I say test management tool, you can compare it to something like ALM or Jira, where you have all your test cases. You execute your test cases, manage them, and all of that. So you have metrics, dashboards, and everything. So it is something similar to that. So that's what we have here. We have a dashboard that shows you the metrics of what you have, how many test cases, modules, test steps, and other things that we have. Test setup is where you create your test cases. So there are a few elements to how we create test cases in AnyAUT to make it more flexible, and we run our test cases also based on the modules and test cases setup, and we tend to run them as well. So at a high level, this is what it is. When we go deep into the application, there are a few things that you will have to understand. For those of you who are new, since we did this in the first session, I'm not trying to go too much into it because it is going to consume a lot of the time, and we won't be able to go over the topics that are in the agenda today. So if time permits, I'll come back. So for now, Sana, how is it more advantageous? We will see. You know that's what we are trying to learn here. So if you're trying to compare with ALM, ALM doesn't run any test cases for you, just to simply put it out. But AnyAUT does, which are automated test cases, not just manual test cases. So it is going to execute automatically all your test cases without a manual intervention. So you don't have to, or a user doesn't have to go and create any automation scripts, but they will be able to just they will be able to create the test cases, and they will be able to run the automated scripts without writing any automation scripts. That's a major difference between any other tools in the market versus what we have for AnyAUT. So going back to data driven, so going back to our agenda, so we're going to talk about what is a data driven framework. So it is basically test data based framework. So if you want to put it in simple terms, so let's say if you want to run your test case for different sets of test data. Let's say if you are trying to do it for southwest.com, or if you are trying to test southwest.com, if you want to test for different dates, different destinations, and arrivals, and number of people. So all of these, there are multiple combinations of data that you would like, that some a user would like to test. In that case, we can use something called data driven testing, data driven framework. The reason is, if you write your code directly and say, okay, I'm going to use this data, I'm going to use this data, I'm going to use this data. So at the end of it, you are actually, a lot of code is repeated. Plus, there is so much effort, right? Let's say tomorrow, if you want to use different sets of data, so you have to again make changes into the code, which is not the most optimum way of writing any automated scripts. So as we said in the previous slide, it has to be, you have to reuse the data. You have to reuse the code in such a way that it is more optimum. So that is why we use a framework. So that is where a data driven framework comes into picture. So if you see, so what data driven framework does is, it can take various external sources, the framework, like Excel, XML, CSV files, or even database files. So it can take data, it can read data from any of these files and run your test cases. So if you see here, this is a sample of how an Excel might look. So let's say we are testing southwest.com. So what is the test data name? So I'm going to go to southwest.com and show you a simple example. So if you would like to test this, so you have to enter departure date, departure and arrival cities, departure date, return date, and click on a search button. That's what our typical test case might be. So in data-driven test case, what so that is the data we are capturing here. So we are capturing the depart city, arrival city, depart date, and arrival date. So these are multiple sets of test data basically. So I would like to, let's say I want to have a test case created for a test case that can test all these multiple sets of data. If you were to write this in a regular script without using the data driven framework, so this is all hard coded. So when you code it, so it will all be okay for this particular date, for this particular field, enter this data. So there is so much of repetition happening. So if we use this particular framework, that repetition can be avoided. So what Selenium does is it uses something. So how do we do it, right? The next step is how do we do it? I'll go back to AnyAUT also and show you how where we enter this data. Um, so what or how a Selenium does is so Selenium uses something called Apache Poi. It's an API to read and write Excel files. I'm showing you an example for Excel. So that is what it uses to read and write Excel files. So we have to import the jar files related to this particular API and add it to our Selenium, and then we can use interfaces to read and write data. So the classes or interfaces that we use are these four. This is to read. So what it does is first we have to read the workbook, right? We have to have a workbook, and then read which data. There could be multiple sheets, or there could be just single sheet also in your Excel file. So we can read, or Selenium can read all the different tabs, not just one sheet. So that's why we need to create an instance of a HHSF sheet. Um, and to read the rows and columns, we use HSSF row and cell. So the difference between HHSF and XSSF is that the first one reads the .xls files, and the second one reads the .xlsx files. So there are different formats of Excel files. So that is where this comes into picture. And what we are basically doing is we have to create some variables for these four interfaces, and that's how we would be able to read or write the data. So what a Java executable program, so when you write the code, the main program actually will call a method that can read the data from the Excel and perform whatever necessary steps are needed to run your test cases. And then if you want to write the results back into the Excel, you can do that as well. Any questions on data driven framework? I'll show you what, as I said, we'll go back to AnyAUT to see that. AnyAUT does not convert the steps. It actually uses the steps that are there in AnyAUT, and it can understand what is there and execute the test cases. Is it open source? It's not exactly open source, but it is free to use for because you cannot make any code changes or anything for AnyAUT. So you would all that you would be able to do is use it and for single user. So the beta version is currently available. I'm sorry. I do not know how to help you on this one. Live project, is this useful to continue the session? Not sure what this is. It is actually
Here's my recommendation.
yeah.
I don't think you should do every question as it comes.
Okay.
Continue with your flow for at least 15-20 minutes and then try and take a break to address questions.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah. So I'll get back to your questions.
One quick message to everyone before you continue. Team, it has been very clearly communicated and promised that today is going to be the AnyAUT certified developer session, and that the Selenium free training will continue on a new date, not today. That is yet to be communicated. The focus of this session is how this tool has been built over Selenium WebDriver with frameworks added and a web UI, and then do a very detailed code level walkthrough, how we built each and everything. So especially for the Selenium live training participants who finished the training very recently, you will be able to understand how it's been put together with a data-driven, keyword-driven, and a page object model frameworks, all created into one hybrid model. Right. So this session is focusing on what AnyAUT does and taking a developer level look at how it has been built. Right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah. So going back to AnyAUT test management. So I'm not going to be creating any test cases now. I'm just going to show you some existing test cases. So we have some test cases that were created, and there are steps for each of these test cases. So if I go to test steps, so for car reservation, so you can see that there are about 8 test steps. So if you see, we are loading a page, we are clicking on a link, we are selecting the pickup location, return location, so all of this. So what we are trying to do is, so trying just to relate to data. So each step has a reference test data variable. Okay, when I say reference is you're kind of giving a name to your test data. So going back to the presentation, so if you see value 01, so you're saying your test data name is depart, right? So the same thing. We are just saying uh, this is the name of my test data that I'm going to use for this particular step. The reason why we are doing it this way and not saying directly giving the value is like what I said before. We want to reuse the test data for various other test cases also. So if you just define the value here, if let's say if you are writing another test case where you are trying to enter the same test data, it wouldn't be available. So we are using the names, and um, here in the reusable components, we have the test data also. So here all of these variables are defined. So if you see here, so car pickup location. So first set has data value as Austin. Second set has maybe this location is not there. So dates. So if you see the pickup dates, so we have different dates here. Yeah, pickup location also. Yeah. So you have different sets of data. So if you were to look at only purely a data driven framework, so that is what you're going to do. You're just going to use forget about all of this, because this AnyAUT is built using hybrid framework, so this does not translate exactly to that. But just for you to understand, so if you were to test any of your test cases with multiple sets of test data, data-driven framework is a good way to go. So the next thing is a keyword-driven framework. So what are keywords, right? Selenium has a lot of keywords that it can use. Like, if you want to open a browser, if you want to navigate to a link, if you want to click on a link, if you want to click on a button or a radio button, or so many of them, right? So there are certain actions that are linked to each and every of this keyword. So any of you who is familiar with Selenium, you will understand these keywords. Keyword driven framework, again, it can use an external file where you can have all these operations and instructions on how to do it. And we can use that, read that particular Excel, and perform necessary actions. So if you see a sample file here, let's say, this is how you created your Excel. So you have a test case, you want to do navigate browser, you want to type text, you want to because we are trying to go to my test case is basically navigating to southwest.com, and I'm going to enter departure. That is what I'm typing here. That's why my data is Austin. And next one, I'm trying to enter arrival. So I have Orlando here, and I'm clicking on a button which is a search. So these highlighted areas in keyword driven framework, the difference in the way we approach is, it has a repository, an object repository file in the project itself. When we're building the project, you can have an object repository file that will define the actual values of these are keywords. So keywords are being used for keyword driven framework. And these, like, why do we need element type is basically, you're saying, how am I identifying my element? Am I using a XPath? Am I using ID, name, link text, partial link text, anything, right? So that is what we are defining here. So I'm going to be using XPath to find my element. So why do we need to find your element? So where will we type this text? So our framework has to understand what it should do and how and where it should do, right? So that is basically what we are trying to define here. So XPath is how we are identifying the element, and the next thing is what is the element. So depart. So these values, whatever, how to let's say if I'm identify using the XPath. So I'm sure you guys know how to write XPaths and all. So that value will be written in this object repository file. And let's say URL. So if I want to navigate to southwest.com, so I will define my URL also in the object repository file. So the Java executable code will first, call these classes to first read the file, and then the object repository, and then start calling the method from the respective classes to run these keywords, basically all these keywords, so that it can perform all the actions. So if you see the keywords, I'll show you how we have in AnyAUT. So we have low level keywords. So we have like, I think 66 or something. Yeah. So these are all the keywords that we have currently. We are currently handling in AnyAUT framework. So if need be, we will add more of them. For now, whatever we have researched, we have added all of them. So if you want to open a browser, close the browser, so all of these actions will be performed when you select. So what you do is, when you go to the test step, If you see here, um, element type. So let me show it to you. So if you see the low level keyword here, it says type text. So it is basically saying type, enter the value, enter location, and what action needs to be performed. Because we are writing, remember, we are writing automated scripts, automated test cases, sorry, automated test cases. So we will need to tell the framework what kind of action my test step would like to do. That's what we are trying to define here. So these are all these are all keywords that we can use. So keyword driven framework is going to that's what is going to do. Just a part of what we have in AnyAUT. Keyword driven is one part of the one part of AnyAUT's framework. So next thing is next framework that we have is a page object model framework. So the page object model framework is going to create. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a repository for all the web UI elements. So if you go to again, I'll go back to the example. So whatever you're seeing on this page, everything is an element. So this is a link. This is a text box. This is a button. This is, this is probably not a text list box, but you can have all of them. So this is a radio button. So there's so many things, right? So everything is an element. So for automated testing, we have to know how to perform any action on an element, because everything has. So if you want to click this link, it's an element. If you want to enter data, that's an element. So all of this has a unique identifier. So that's exactly what this repository has. So all the web UI elements will be stored in this particular model or framework, and then they will be used they will be read. If you go back to keyword driven framework, I said the object repository can have the definitions of these elements, right? So let's say departure, if it is being identified, or search, let's say if it is being identified by ID. Let me show it to you in Firefox. It looks like I downgraded my Firefox. One second, folks. Let me install this package. Shouldn't take So 52.0 version doesn't have Firepath. It doesn't work properly. The latest version 53 works. So that's why I'm trying to install that. Okay, I have this version. So I'm going to just close this, open the latest one. So to identify an element, we have something called Firepath in Firefox browser. You can manually write it and identify it also. Just for easy purpose, I'm showing you this one. So if you say inspect an element in Firepath, if you see here, this is the XPath that it's generating. So this is one way of identifying an element. Or you can just say, if you are trying to identify it by ID, which is unique, by the way, for this web page, IDs are usually unique. So you can use just this label and say, if you are trying to identify by ID, You can use this label and say, okay, sir, this is the one that I want. So go click this particular element. So for search, we are saying ID, right? So in the object repository file, that is what I can define, saying that this is how we should be doing it. So when it comes to page object model, so all the web UI elements will have a unique way of identifying the elements. So those are going to be stored in a repository. So you can do it in an Excel file, or in an object repository within the project also, and access it. So one of the advantages of using of doing that is, um, eh, so if you want to change, let's say if you're using one element, the search button, I'll take. So the search button probably you'll be using in a lot of test cases. So if, let's say tomorrow, for some reason, the way of identify, if the ID changes, the developer changed the identification, then in that case you don't have to go and change in all your test cases. You just have to go and change at one location, whether you're using an Excel file or whether using an object repository. Just change it at one place, and it will reflect in all the other places. So it's very easy to maintain in that way. To show you how it is done, it is being used in AnyAUT. So if you see here, these are element IDs. So I'm saying, okay, for enter pickup location, which is car, so pickup location, that is what I'm going to enter. And I will be using at pickup location as my element ID. It's just a name given to your given to that particular element. That's all. So you can give XYZ, you can give anything. So it doesn't matter. So where we would go and define these values are, so if you go to element map, so if you see car, return location, so I am saying, so it is being, the element type is XPath, so it is going to be identified as identified using XPath as the element type, and this is the value of it. So what is the exact value of it is defined here. So tomorrow, if there was any change in the location identify in the locator, so I can just come and change it here, and it will reflect in all the test cases that are using this particular element ID. So that way you wouldn't have to actually go and change at any other place. So it is totally code independent. You don't have to make any code changes at all. So AnyAUT framework, coming to AnyAUT framework. So AnyAUT is created using a hybrid framework. So this framework contains keyword driven, data driven, and page object model. So all the ones that we have seen above, we have used all of them. So our that's why it is called a hybrid framework. When you tend to create a framework that contains more than one framework, then it is called a hybrid framework. So that's exactly what we have done with AnyAUT also. Looking at the demands of what we want to achieve, we thought that is the best route to take. So we have used all three of them. And so AnyAUT uses external Excel files that has test cases, test steps, keywords, which is what we have used for keyword driven framework, elements which are for page object model, and test data for data driven framework, to represent data driven framework. So all of this we are using it. So before I move on any further, a quick minute I want to take for any questions that you have. I'm going to go inspect element. I probably wouldn't be doing that. I'm sorry, but you can research and see. I'm sure you'd be able to do it, but not as FirePath is the best option. The others you might have to manually do it. Yes, keywords are basically actions that you do, that you perform. What if UFT uses? I am test case writing. We have Karthik. Do we have any demos on how do we create test cases in AnyAUT? Yes, AnyAUT is a product of Varkasa Inc. Yes, AnyAUT has a test management tool as well and a Selenium and Java based engine. Want to know the class and object. What do you mean by that? Okay, if I'm not clear about any of the questions, I'm sorry. I'm just going to move on because of the time limit. Not able to. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. You can use the current beta version and try your hands on it. For Selenium demo forms, I don't know what exactly you mean by that. Um, you can use the whole beta version of AnyAUT as of now to create test cases, and you can actually implement run your test cases also. Um, just to okay, I'll just show you quickly. Um, so test run has a downloadable jar here when you go to test run module, so you can download. Click on this and it downloads. It's going to take a bit of a time to download. Double click on the jar file once it's downloaded. And please, if you're using a Windows PC, please do not install in your program files, because this program might not have access to, or you might not have access to program files to write access. So please install it on your desktop or somewhere else. That would be ideal. So if once you download it, so double click. So it's going to give you installation wizard. So please go ahead, quick next. So choose the location where you want to install it, and it would be done. And after the test cases are, after you're done creating the test cases, download this application, or you can download it anytime. So once you install it, it will be there. Go open that, double click on the jar file. Um, and you would get this interface. You can give any name to your test run, who's running it, and select the location. So when you are done creating the test cases, you will have to download them. So you basically create a run by selecting what you want to execute. Let's say if you want to execute selected few test cases, you can go and select any test data that you would like to use, give a save run, and so when you go to test run, you can see that particular day 2. So if you see here, once you click on it, it is going to download a file that contains the data or the test cases that you would like to execute. So if you expand this, so it will produce a sheet with multiple tabs. I will go over this one too for you to understand. It is important for you to understand this particular input sheet. So this is the input sheet for our program. So you will need to understand this. So these are translated from the web interface. They are created off of that. So all the elements, element identification here, locators, all the element locators are here, and test data. So that's all we have here. So our engine takes, so once you download, in the Java program, select the location of where you have downloaded, and then give a default browser timeout. So that means how much time you want the browser to wait before it executes any next actions. So let's say I'm giving 12 seconds. It's in seconds. So once you run execute the test, then it starts running. So there are a few steps that that are done while execution. It prepares an actual set of test cases first that will be executed, and then it will start executing all the test cases based on the criteria given. So if you want to try it, you can try it doing this way. I'm going to go back to the presentation and see what is remaining. So this is kind of a workflow of what AnyAUT basically is doing at this time. This is just the beta version. This is not the real time. This is not what we are trying to build to, but it is the current version. So if you try to understand what it is actually doing, where the web interface plays, and what role it plays, what role the engine plays, and all of that. So if you see here, so first thing is a user has to build a test suite. So where is it done? It is done on the web UI. What is a test suite? It is basically nothing but the test cases that you would like to create, that you would like to execute. So what you do is we can actually so once you create all your test cases, you can actually export all entire suite also. That is one thing that can be done as well from the web application. But if you want to do it, but it's not needed. The second step is once you build the test suite, what you have to do is you have to select the test cases, because you might have built 100 test cases, but when you are running, you need not run all 100 test cases. You might just pick and choose what you want to run. So that is what I showed you a minute ago, where you are trying to select one or two test cases. So you are going to go ahead and select the test cases for running, which is also performed on the web UI, and then you export the test run like I just showed. So there is a file that gets downloaded under this naming convention. So usually it has a test run underscore whatever name you have given for that test run. Like I gave day 2, that's why it says the test run underscore day 2. So this is the first input that our engine takes. So that is exactly what we are showing here. So engine to be executed manually. So that is the step that I showed you. So after selecting the run and on the web UI, you're actually invoking the engine, which is the UI that I just showed, where you're going to enter the name of a test run, location of the file downloaded, and all of that. So here the engine comes into place and it accepts these test cases. That is the first thing. So what it does is it creates this is one Java program that actually accepts this particular file. That is the first program that it runs. So it is reading this data from the Excel, and then it is actually creating an output. Okay, there is another output that is created, which is called run setup. So what it is it is going to, I'm just going to show you what we have in the Excel that I showed you a minute ago. So if you see test cases, there are many test cases that you have not selected, right? But there are about 2 test cases that were selected, and also in the test steps, while creating the test steps, we have used the names of element identification as well as test data. I showed you this information while we were going through the data-driven framework and keyword-driven framework. We were using a name for the element identification and test data and not the actual values, right? So because we are doing all of this, our program has to understand the actual values for the testing to be performed, right? So it cannot just take this and identify an element, or it cannot use this as a test data. So it has to identify what actual values are. So all that process happens in this first step of the process. So this is what this program does. So there are a few other things that it does too. The main things are that. So it is going to accept and then prepare another Excel document which will have the exact test cases, and it actually adds the test data and test element identification also. So let me show you that. Oh, I think I deleted all of mine. No problem. I'll show you a different one. Yeah. So if you see this one, so this is the output. So it is going to give you only 2 sheets of output. So all the test cases. So it is also telling you how many test data sets have been used. So you want to run this test case, let's say, for 2 sets of data, 2 different sets of data. Just one different set of data. So that is what this was selected on the web UI. So when we are creating the test cases, this is all taken care of. Let's say if you see this particular test case, it is repeated twice. The reason, it is repeated twice. The reason is because this test case was chosen to be executed for 2 sets of test data. That's why we have this. So where is the actual data? This is the actual data. So this is one set of data. Okay, this is another set of data. The same test case is being executed for that. And also if you see this, the actual element IDs are also displayed here, element identifications. So all of this is done in the first part, and this is the first output that comes out of the out of that step. And after this happens, then what happens is the engine then passes its next step to another Java program, which is all combined in one particular unit. So it uses this particular set of code and executes all the test cases. So it is using various browsers that have been in the test data. So it is going to run on all these browsers and produce these results. So it is going to produce actual result of what has passed, what has failed. If there is an error, what is the error? If there is, we also take screenshots. So there are screenshots available in a separate folder, as well as the location of the screenshot is available in your Excel too. And at the end of it, we can actually upload all of this, zip this folder, and we can upload it on the web UI. So that's what we are representing here. So we are reviewing the results. We can view it on the web UI as well. So let me just quickly show you what I mean by the results that are displayed. So this is one report. So if you see this one, I'm not going to expand it completely. I think it's so if you see errors, screenshot, what is the time taken? So this is the name of the screenshot, whether it has passed or failed, what is the error, all of this information is available. And if you want to see screenshots, the screenshots are available here. So you can open anything. So today I ran some, so there was an error. So it is taking the screenshot for that. And the other thing it generates is report, a HTML report. We can actually see, looks like my test. This is, sorry, this is a old one. I'm just trying to show, I'll show you a different one, no worries. Oh, sorry, I'm showing you that. So I'm going to show a report. So let's say if I've executed these two test cases, looks like both of them have failed. So when I was trying to click on a flight link, it didn't work. So it's giving a screenshot, so you can actually see the screenshot even in the report also, which is quite convenient. Um, and you can see, what has done, what is the test data set it has used. All of this information is available. So let's say if you're using this one, so it has tried to enter this as the data. This is a data set that was used, when it was executed, time information, and how much time it took. All of this information is available on this particular report. And we also have a dashboard version of the report, so you can see the dashboard as well. So it shows you how many test cases, steps, how many have passed, how many have failed. All of this information is available on this report. So so when we actually start, so our goal is to actually start going through the code. So I'll explain you what is the framework, how we have built it. We will deep dive into the code to see, each and every aspect of all of this. So you will get really, really good experience, hands-on experience. So we will do some small projects also. That way you have to, that gives you a real understanding of the code, and also makes you comfortable in making the changes too. So this is the most real-time experience you can ever get. So this is a real product. This is something, we have a beta version available, and we are taking this to a complete whole new level. We are currently working on that aspect of it. So if you really like it, and if you're really comfortable, you can actually join our team to help the further development as well. So that's all I have for today. I will take questions quickly. So I'm starting from top down. Can AnyAUT run a test script simultaneously? Yes, it can absolutely run, not simultaneously. We have not implemented Grid, but it will run for all the test cases. So in our future development, we are planning to implement Grid 2, where it can perform that as well. But it will run on multiple browsers. HLK and LLK. So LLK is nothing but as I said, your Selenium keywords that we are predefined keywords. High level keyword is nothing but a reusable set of test steps. So let's say if you are, if I'll give you an example of opening a browser. So there are let's say if you have couple of steps or login, those are repetitive steps. You don't want to add them for each and every test case. So you can create one test case as a login, and you can add some steps, and you can call it, like if you think about ALM calling the steps, or quality center, if you ever know, you can call scripts or test cases. Just similar to that, you can actually call a high level test case into your current test cases, and they will all be expanded If let me show you one example of that here. Where is the original one? This is not. So I'll show you an example here. I think this is not a good one, sorry. Yeah. So if you see here, so I am saying this particular test case has a high level keyword. It is using a high level keyword, and the keyword is load home page. So when you see this high level keyword, there are two steps in it. When after performing uh, this this action, the first where it accepts this test cases, after passing through this first step, these it will also expand. So when you see in here, here also we had used high level keywords. This was a high level keyword. I think okay, this is something that I picked up later. So this was a high level keyword which was expanded. So when the first step happens, you will be seeing all the test steps clearly. So that is the purpose of it, basically to reuse a set of test cases. So does this framework capture or take the screenshot when the script fails and continue to the next test case? Yes, it does that. It takes a screenshot and it moves on to the next test case. It doesn't stop. We have a previous recording on YouTube. If you want to take a look at it, you can feel free to go ahead and take a look at that. It was a free session as well. So anybody who has not joined the first one, you should be able to actually, you can actually view that video and understand what we are trying to do here. Are these steps in test run and executing through the desktop AnyAUT button? Yes, actually, the question here is, I think, what I understood is, are we trying to execute the test cases using the UI on the desktop? Future also, all your test cases will be running on the desktop. They will not be running on cloud. The web UI is on cloud, but the actual test execution happens on your local desktop. But the functionality of whatever I had shown you, where you would be entering the test run name, the location of the file, and all of that, that will be going away. It will all be done on the web. Is it for developers or for QA? It is for QA folks. It is definitely for QA people who would like to learn Selenium, or who would like to learn automation. Basically, it will give you a hands-on experience on automation. So that is the goal of this one. Connection to DB like Oracle or database? Not currently, Sergio. We are actually planning to. That is one of the features that we are trying to implement in our next version, but not currently. We can install any app. What I just said is, just you have to install AnyAUT to run the test cases, automated test cases. Abu Siddiq, can we customize it. You can. So if you were asking me if you can customize the engine as a user, no, you would not be able to do that. The only part is you can write your test cases and the engine takes care of execution. But currently, as I said before, it's not open source code, so you wouldn't be able to make any customization. Yes, it does work. I didn't show you the execution as of now due to the time constraint, but I will show you in the next sessions, the paid sessions. We will see all of that. It is pretty cool, actually. It will open all the browsers. It will start executing the test cases. Ron, yes. LLK defines the actual action to be performed, and HLK is user defined. That's absolutely right. You can call it, Anil, you can call it in various ways. A module, however you want to define based on how your organization or department works, and you can do that. You can call it a test scenario, or you can call it a module at a very high level module. So anything is possible. It all depends on how you want to maintain it. Projects in AnyAUT. Currently, it's a single user, single project application that is free. We do not have the ability to switch between projects, but that is something we are going to be doing in the next versions. Sunita, absolutely, we can help you with that. Let us know. Please contact us, and we will be able to see how we can help you use AnyAUT. Yeah, you can use AnyAUT to test your application. Absolutely. Oh, okay. Sorry. I think uh, I didn't read out the questions. Is this current session saved somewhere where we can view later? We will be posting, Karthik, I am currently recording it, so we will be posting it on YouTube, like the first one, I guess. Is pay in paid session, can you teach us how to code the user actions, that is LLK? Yes, we will. I will be going through the entire code of what we have done for AnyAUT. We will be taking a little older version of the code because it gets more and more complex as we get to the beta version. Just a little bit older, not too older, but you will have all of this. Implementation of LLKs, everything, every part of it will be provided to you. So you can see hands on everything that I was talking to you about, Ravi. Do I need Java knowledge for AnyAUT? Yes, Abu. You will need. We said the prerequisites for for this particular session before. You need to be at least a JPAC member or a Selenium member who is completed, so that you will understand what we are talking about. Because without which it is very difficult to understand. Because as I said, it's all code. I can, if I show you a little bit of it. So we are going to go into all of this code, every bit of it, um, all of this. So if you want to understand what is going on, you will need knowledge of Selenium and Java. You don't need advanced Java or anything. If you can basically understand basic knowledge of Java, should be good. Uh, with our support JS web page. We have not done that yet. For now, I'm not sure about that. A bit sorry. Will this framework work for or support JS web page? That was a question. Sunita, there are not 13 free sessions. This is the last free session. We have 5 more classes which are paid classes. Ashna, so this is about, this is starting from June 2nd to, hold on, let me give you the dates for that.
It's from 1st of
June,
June to 10th of June at 7:30 p.m. Pacific.
correct.
5th June to 10th June, Monday to Friday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, that's starting next week, next Monday to Friday. So if you're in India, it is from Tuesday morning to Saturday morning. So the question is, AnyAUT is the real-time project. Can you please answer? Yes, it is a real-time project. As I said, this is a product that we are developing right now. So it is the real world. For Selenium, we need to install Firefox 45, right? Stephen, I would say get the latest version of Firefox. Anytime, it is always better to have the latest versions. Suppose I have to change the XPath or locator of any element in AnyAUT. How can I search that particular element and then change it? Suppose I have hundreds of elements in the page. Suppose I have to change XPath or locator of any element in AnyAUT. Okay, I think it's a repeated question. So the question is, how can you change the XPath or locator of any element in AnyAUT? Um, how can I search that particular element and then change it if there are hundreds of elements? So, Ravi, so any automation, you would have to identify elements. That's, that is for sure. You would have to do it. So one way is to identify. You can do it. Um, if you know Selenium, there are various ways of identifying a or yeah, various ways of using a locators, right? Use IDs or name or link text or whatever is convenient. So Firepath is the best way to do it. If you want to change it, you can change it anytime, to from one type of locator to another type of locator in AnyAUT, and it will not impact any of your test cases. Just change in the element map module, and that will reflect in all the test cases. Unfortunately, we do not have anything like a web crawler which will capture all the web elements, but that is something, as again, I am repeating myself a lot on this point. We are we are planning to implement all of this in our next version. So this is currently in talks for us. Mean currently it's support on HTML. Yes, it does support. I'm sorry if I'm not sure. I'm not sure what what do you mean by your question is mean currently. It's support on HTML. So it basically AnyAUT is to test any web application. So it does test any web application. When is AACD paid scale? As I said, Ragi, they are starting from next Monday. Those are the paid sessions that will be starting from next Monday. Karthik did mention it in the Selenium class. Okay. Um, is it only for JPact and Selenium members? No, it is not just for them, but it is highly recommended to have at least one of those so that you will have a good background understanding of Selenium. Otherwise, as I said, you will be lost. There will be too much to understand, so it would be not be so easy for you to understand if you are not members of at least one of these programs, because we know how we are teaching, so we know what we have done, so it is easy to articulate for you guys. Excel search, Ron, I'm not sure what your question means by Excel search. Abhishek, yes, by ID, name, link. Yes, we are, you can use any of them. When is the project starting? What is the team? Where is the team? What is the schedule? Please share the details. So, Veni, the project is already going on. We have already completed the beta version of it, as you know. Um, we are in the process of requirements gathering for the rewrite for the entire rewrite. So we are rewriting the web as well as the engine. So currently we are in the process of requirements collection. We will start. We can start. Maybe in a couple of weeks, might be in a couple of weeks or so, or we will be starting active development. So currently we are still trying to learn some things or research some other things, but the process is still going on, and the team is scattered across US and India. So we have people working from both the places currently, but we might add people who are other places too. It's basically a remote team. I am a manual tester and want to learn and work in Selenium. Should I go for Java or Python prior to learning Selenium, which is easy to learn and use? Subrat, I would say you take one of our Selenium courses that will give you Selenium understanding as well as any language that you choose. I think we have other Java, Python also. You can pick one of the languages of your choice and you can take the training, because one is not mutual to the other. So they are one. If you want to use Selenium WebDriver, you will have to use one of these languages if it is not just to IDE. Udaya, how is the current position of AnyAUT in job market? Will it add value to our resume? Yes, Udaya, it will definitely add very good value on your resume, because this much hands-on experience you would get only on a real-time project, and when you put what you're doing in AnyAUT, that's pretty much, it's not like a dummy project or anything, right? So you're getting actual experience. So that is what you put in your resume, and that will definitely pick up pick that will be what the recruiters are that is what the recruiters are looking for. So definitely it will fetch you in the job market too. Will this framework can be used testing embedded technology video and PDF files? No, Abid, not at this time, but or in the near future, we do not have it on our plate yet. This is something we can look for in the future. Is AnyAUT Web UI XSS safe? Cross-site scripting safe? I am sorry, Ron. I am not aware of this question, but we can get back to you on that. We could not make test in JSP page, right? You can test basically any web application. So that is what my understanding is. Yes, Stephen, TestNG is also a framework. That is the question. Is that a framework? So that is yes, it's a framework, and um, it's I mean you can have a JUn framework or a TestNG framework or simple Java code also, but we have used in AnyAUT, and AnyAUT is using TestNG framework as well. Ron, I your question is, I meant to find elements in the OR file. Use Excel search. If you don't mind, Ron, can you put the entire your entire question in one text, because it is hard for me to go back and look for the others. So Vani, will let us know in an email when to start, right? This is your announcement, Vani. We will be starting it on June 5th. So if you're talking about the training, June 5th, if you are talking about the actual development of AnyAUT, I do not know. If you're part of the group, yes, you will be informed. If you're not, we won't be sending out to everybody. Divya, any opportunities for freshers? This is open to all of you guys, Divya. If you are interested and if you have the skill set, we would be more than happy to have you here. Sindhura, what is the price for AnyAUT? Ashna, I think it is $99, right? Yeah, the price is $99. How do we enroll for it? We would be sending. I thought this would have already gone out to registers, but anyways, you would all be receiving emails how to register and all of that stuff. Sindhura, is it free forever or for now only? Um, I do not know on which context you are asking about. If it is the application, or if it is the application, the beta version is free forever. The other versions will not be. So the if you're talking about the training, we have two free sessions, and today is the end of the second paid session. Thank you, there. We would be happy to have you with us. She just thanked us. She wanted to join once she's done with the Selenium training. Yes, as Abu, it is, as I said, AnyAUT is free. The beta version is free currently, and it will be free forever. Firepath is not supported in the latest Firefox, and I see they have ended future development. Is there a need to learn using Firepath when it is not being supported anymore? You don't have to learn Firepath. We are just using it. As I said, that was an easier way to show you how to identify elements. You can identify elements, in Chrome, in Safari also. There could be a little bit more manual effort on your side. That's all. Just try adding some JavaScript command to some of the text boxes and see if it gives an error or saves it and pops up an alert. If you're talking about the engine part of it, um, you can do any kind of testing that you want. Fifth, training for a paid student for a real time project. Yeah, so when you are actually, if you are working with us on AnyAUT, the next part of the development, Veni, you wouldn't be really paying anything. You would just be a part of our team. But for the trainings to understand AnyAUT, because if you directly jump into AnyAUT development, it will be a lot for you to understand. So to this training it will help you. So that is what are the paid sessions for, to go over the AnyAUT framework. So if you want to further join into the AnyAUT team, you're more than welcome after you're done with this training. Or if you want to use this as an experience also, that is fine. Abu Siddiq's question is there any renewal charges? Renewal charges, this is a one time thing. I don't think we have any renewal on this one. So it's a one time pay. I have attended few of the AACT classes and unfortunately could not attend after them. So how can I write the test as I didn't go for live project, and when is the test? We will, Asma, if you don't mind, can you send this question to the to IT Learn team? They will be able to give you a better answer because it's a different training. I do not have the right details and I don't want to give you the incorrect information. So please send an email to them. I paid for real time project. Does it include training with which starting from 5th June? I do not think so. That is a different training. You would still get. I think they would still probably expose you to AnyAUT, but this is a little different, and that would be. I think that is a little different training that you will have, but it is still a real time project experience. If it is AACD that you have signed for, you will be joining these sessions. Um, Thank you, Ranjit. Thank you. I have applied for joining the AnyAUT team as I received a mail. I didn't get any updates after them. Um, Ashna, are you on this call still? Hey, Asma, if you don't mind, can you send an email to them? And let me, yeah, please send an email to them, and I will also follow up with them. I will note your name down, and I will also follow up with them. You should be getting a response if you are planning to join the AnyAUT team. Um, if you're joining planning to join the AnyAUT team, oh, I'm sorry. If you're planning to join AnyAUT team, we you would be getting an email. We are actually still in the process of finalizing our team. So you would be getting an email as and when we finalize it. So it might take a little bit of time. Please be patient, but you might hear from us. Thank you, Abu. Is 5-day training enough to have complete understanding of any art? Um, I am positive that we will be able to do a good job about helping you to understand, but at the same time you will have to put enough effort on your side too to understand it. So me telling you is one thing, and you helping yourself is another thing too, because there are things that it is a good set of code. So you will have to put effort from your side also to understand, but we will do our I will do my best. I have been one of the co-developers on AnyAUT, so I would be able to give you thorough understanding of what the code is. Veni, what I don't understand is training starts from fifth. You said, is it for paid students for a real-time project? Sorry if I asked a repetitive question. Um, Veni, I'm just trying to clarify what I understand from your question. There are paid sessions starting for AACD training from June 5th. So these are not, this is not real time project experience yet. This will give you a good dive into the real world. You will be able to understand all of the aspects of a real project. If you want to start doing a real time project, that's a different thing. Thank you. AnyAUT is for real time project that I paid for. Very frankly, I would not know those details. Please check with the sales team. They would be able to give you a quick understanding of what you paid for. Um, because I do not have an insight into that information. So looks like that's all the questions that I have. Um, if you have any questions pertaining to the training, please feel free to send your questions to the sales team. They would be able to help you. Okay. Thank you all for joining. Bye.